They're above ground pipelines, and this is a steel pipe over a stream. Their solution is to run the black pipeline through it and run it to an impoundment pond to a well site. It's supposed to be fresh water, but if you knew what fresh water was, it can be, according to Schlumberger, it can be less than 2,000 parts per million of brine water, or salt water, which equates to brine water. I don't think that's a great solution because the open ends of that metal, if that comes apart, it will make it right into that stream.
The reason I put this slide up because it was the only one that I could have a clear view of the water, but the competition that I'm talking about is that farmers and non-farmers are competing right now for the same resources. Farmers and the oil and gas companies are competing for the same resources: soil, air, and water. Big thing is water because of all the water that they consume in their operations. If we do not start valuing the farmer and what they produce, the economic realities of what can be created with the use of those resources will lead, and the farmers will lose the battle. Developing the natural gas in Pennsylvania to the extent that the industry and others propose, which is developing 50% of the land mass in Pennsylvania, is a threat to Pennsylvania's farm and food future.
Yeah, that's the next one. Okay, this is, yeah, we're living in Gasland. This is, last year we had a lot of rain in the spring, but then about June through July we had a 7-week dry period, and this is part of the dry period. That field was oozing this orange stuff. On the other side of the ditch, there was nothing coming out. It was dry, bone dry. Township supervisor started calling, hey, do you know what this is? It's slimy. I called our conservation district. They said, oh, it might be a high iron. I said, where's the water? You keep on watching this. There was little fishies floating around in it. And what I believe is they were unloading the wastewater in that field. Because you can see the trucks where they back up, they were unloading it. I've talked to some people in Susquehanna County, same thing. And all of a sudden you see the little fishies belly up, and then you see the frogs, they croaked. You know, what is this stuff? But this thing went right into a main tributary, went into the Tawanda Creek, went into the Susquehanna River. Where does the Susquehanna River run? Down here. It is coming your way.
The other interesting thing about this photograph is the color of the fluid. When Carol and I were at the DEP yesterday, we happened to stumble upon some photographs taken from the Vanilla well site where the spill was, and they actually took the pond that the frac fluid, the production water was in, same exact color.
Yep. This is our traffic back home. This is White Sox. You're coming in from White Sox into Tawanda. It would only take you 5 minutes. It takes you 45 minutes now. With this traffic, we're watching local businesses go under because nobody wants to travel through the traffic to get in town. We go elsewhere. We go up to New York State, or we'll go Scranton. We won't go to Tawanda to do business anymore. So those local businesses, when they tell you that it's saving jobs, no, it's not. We won't travel. And that's the kind of traffic we deal with time in and time out. This is in our township. This is Shashiqua Township. As you well know, September 8th we had about 14 inches of rain. This well pad, we told our township supervisors, why are you drilling, allowing them to drill so close to the Susquehanna River? This is on the flats. They drilled that well, and in fact, they were just getting ready to pull them all out. They got the well, the rig down. This is the brine containers, and it's flooded. Can you imagine how many chemicals might have made its way down the river? So, anything you want to add to that one? All right, next.
Carol, can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
They did address the floodplains in the new bill that is now Act 13, but what they said is that the wells are still allowed in floodplains, but they can't have open pits on That doesn't apply to any pads that they've already permitted. And as we know, they may have drilled one well pad on one well on an existing pad, but they could drill, 10, 15, 20 more. So they can still do that. And if they had a permit for a well pad that they haven't built yet, they can still do that and drill as many wells as they want to on that. So effectively, they haven't restricted it at all. And they actually will allow storage of waste in a floodplain as long as it's flood-proofed.
I think they had brims around that one, so I don't think that would work, right?
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, and when they do apply for a permit is good for 5 years for drilling. I think you've seen some pictures before when you guys came in. That's just flaring. That's just flaring.
And that's at night. It's constantly lit 24 hours a day. Some of these locations are as close as 300 feet from a house. And that's the way it is. In my daughter's case, the floodlights were smack onto her house 24 hours a day.
When I walk from the barn to the house, you think you're living in Twilight Zone because the skies are all lit up. It's just brilliant white. And we have, in my area, we have 9 well pads and 13 wells within a mile radius of our home. So they were really lit up. This is, we're not going to pick on Chesapeake too much right now. This is a Talisman impoundment pond. And if you really look close, there's some windmills. This is on Armenia Mountain. We have about 67 windmills up there. And this poor woman had 4 impoundment ponds put on her property. And that's the well that was on her property. And you can tell there's a sheen on it. It's leaking gas on that well pad. We showed that to Talisman about a year ago. They said, how'd you get that picture? It's like, well, we just got on that well pad and took a picture. And all of a sudden gates come up, so I guess we can't go through that no more. I hate walking. I like to drive. But anyway, that's what's going on. Talisman is not a good player either. What I guess I want to tell you is, if you are a gas company, I don't think you are a good player. Because, I'm not against developing gas if you did it right and if you didn't bring harm to my home and my people and my city. So,
in reference to that as well, the industry and you'll see in the DEP there are a lot of violations, and it's called bubbling in the cellar. That little water area is called the cellar, and when you see bubbling in it, that means that there's a leak in the casing.
Yeah, and then you'll hear about what's called a squeeze job. What they do is they come in and they start putting cement down there, try to seal that hole. And we have one that's I think it's been on 6-7 weeks now. About 8 barrels of cement's been squeezed down there. They still can't take care of that problem. Okay? And we talked to those people down there. Their water was changed in November. By March, the wife was diagnosed with cancer. The husband was diagnosed in June with cancer. So Chesapeake is aware of what's going on, and they still say that there's no proven case of contaminated water.
This I just threw in this